Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, man. I took a little break from YouTube, you know, just Christmas, holidays, deer hunting, family. I'm a grandpa now, spent some time with the family and took a little break, but I'm super excited to be back, man. I missed you guys. And we're gonna kick it off with top 3 baits for February, and I'm gonna say March. I think going forward on these videos, I wanna start saying, you know, let's make it a 2-month span, because in reality, depending on where you live, it really is. Like, you know, the spring can be, heck, January down in Florida or South Texas at times, and you know, it could be April, May, June, you know, depending on how far north you are. So I really want my videos going forward. We're gonna say the best baits for February and March, and that's what we're gonna do today, and I'm pretty excited about it. And just like all my baits, man, Plano Tackle Boxes is a big sponsor of the channel. We're gonna mail the baits and the Plano Edge box to you guys. All you have to do is leave a comment at the end of this video. I will tell you I think it was November the last time I did this. So I will tell you the November winners at the end of this video. So you guys stay tuned to see if you won. All right, so let's get into it. February, March, man, I love it because it's like it's time to go fishing again. It's like the greatest time of the year to catch your biggest fish ever. And I really have that in mind with my baits. Like these are, I catch big fish on these. I mean, just super big fish. And let's start off, I don't know, I got 3 baits here and I'm looking at them. I got them right here. And I want to talk about all of them. I feel like this first bait you guys are going to know right off the bat, so I'm going to start off with it, I guess. The jerk bait. You just got to have this bait tied on, guys. A jerk bait in February and March. Anytime you have water clarity more than a foot, I'm going to have a jerk bait tied on. It's just going to be a bait that I'm going to catch a lot of fish on. I got 3 really good colors here. I'm going to kind of tell you why and where and how on these colors. A couple things to keep in mind throwing your jerk bait. Long cast, fluorocarbon line, 10-pound fluorocarbon line, a little bit shorter rod than you normally use, a 6-foot 8-inch rod, a high-speed reel. When you pause, make sure you got slack, make sure your boat is stationary. Those things are all critical in jerkbait fishing. You do not want to be moving. You do not want your line tight, because if you're doing either of those 2 things, your bait is moving. So when you have that thing on a pause, you need everything to be stationary. All right, colors. Man, this is my favorite right here, Stealth Shad. It's just a phenomenal color. It's kind of got a brownish green back. It's a clear side, a little bit of chartreuse on it. I throw this color sunny days, clear water, cloudier days, clear water. It's a clearer water bait for me. It's not a bait I'm going to throw when I have that foot and a half visibility. In those situations, I want to throw a solid color bait. But for me, day in, day out, that's my first and #1 choice when I go to throw a jerk bait, is that Stealth Shad. When I have cloudy conditions or dirtier water, I go with this one right here. It's a hanky-panky color. It's white with an orange belly. Awesome color. It's one that I carry in my box. It's one I throw a lot, but it's in those darker days or that little bit dingier water. It can be really clear water, but a darker day, a cloudy day, that's when I throw this one. And then just kind of to get a reaction out of fish, or if I'm around a lot of spotted bass, or they just won't quite commit to those baits, I'll throw that bait at them right there. This is a really, really good color. They call it shad fillet, but you can see when it flashes to its belly, it's real bright chartreuse. I'll throw this thing in really clear water on bright sunny days. It's a transparent bait. You can see through it, but it's a bait that I can get a lot of bites, and I can trigger a lot of fish that previously would not commit with that bait. It's really, really a good bait. I generally always throw the shallow diving version stunner. The one thing that I think separates the stunner from a lot of other jerk baits, they sink pretty quickly. And I love that, because I'm able to look at those on my active target. I can see how deep it is. But basically, if you don't have that active target, you know, if you figure a foot every 2 seconds is a fair assessment. So if you cast it out there and you go 1 1,000, 2 1,000, it's a foot. 3 1,000, 4 1,000, you're almost 2 feet. So, and that's going to change with how much paint you have on a bait. You know, if we go with, let's say, one of those solid colors that has more paint on it, that's going to sink a little faster. These transparent colors, they don't sink quite as fast in the same lineup. It's just, it is how it is. One thing I will do to get it to sink a little faster, I may put a number 5 treble hook on the front. It comes with 6s. I may go with a 5. It just adds a little weight. It's like adding a suspend strip or a suspend dot to it. You can put a little bit bigger hooks on it, get it to sink a little bit faster. Change your cadence up, guys. That's a given. I feel like you guys know that, but if you don't, what I'm talking about is change your cadence up. Go with a 1 second pause, go with a 5 second pause, go with a 10 second pause, 2 jerks and a pause, 3, 4, 5 jerks and a pause. Change it up until you get that first bite. Jerkbait fishing, it's all about February, January, March, into April, depending on where you live. I love the bait. It's a lot of fun getting those bites. It always happens on that pause. Watch that line. I see a lot of young anglers, they're trying to feel it. They're always trying to pull the rod. If they're trying to feel it, you're moving your bait. I can't stress to you enough, have slack in your line on the pause and watch where that line enters the water. That's going to tell you when you get that bite. All right, let's move on to the next bait. Which one? Let's keep going big fish. A jig, guys. February, March, man, you've got to have a jig tied on. It's just a bait that's in that boat right there 365 days a year. A jig is a bait that represents a crawdad, represents a bluegill. You throw a white one out there, it's gonna represent a shad, in and around the shad spawn, but you can never go wrong with a jig, and especially this time of year, because if you're gonna get a big bite, it can happen on this bait. I've got 3 here. If I had to choose 2, I'm gonna have green pumpkin and black blue. If I had to choose 1, it's probably gonna be a black and blue jig. I've caught more bass on a black and blue jig than any other jig in the country, throughout my whole career. If I had to choose 1 weight, it would be a 1/2 ounce black and blue jig. It's just a phenomenal day in, day out jig. These are the new Berkley flipping jigs. They've got the power bait scent impregnated into the skirt. It's just another fish adding attraction to the bait. It's got a really weedless head, a big stout hook. This is a bait. These flipping jigs are something that I'm flipping on 20, 25 pound fluorocarbon or braid. I'm pairing these things with the new Shape 108. And I've got 2 different sizes. They make 3. They've got a 3-inch, a 3.5, and they go all the way up to a 4. I change sizes according to how fast I want that bait to fall and the profile of the bait. Obviously, that Shape, that 108 and the 4-inch, that's a lot bigger profile than, say, the 3.5 or the 3-inch, but it's also going to make that bait fall slower. So you can put that big old trailer on the 3/8 ounce jig and it's going to fall really slow, or you can put it on the 5/8 ounce jig. It slows that fall down. And a lot of times when it's cold, right after a post-front conditions, I will go with that bigger trailer. If fish is looking for a big meal, I'll put that big trailer on there. It's a big bite, a big meal that they can get in one big swoop, and it also slows it down just enough, I think, at times to trigger that bite. If you don't know, if you're in limbo and you only want to get one, get the 3.5-inch trailer. It's just a great trailer for these jigs all around, day in, day out. All right, I told you like my number 1 color, but let's go into the other 2 colors I've got here. I've got green pumpkin orange. Number 1 color is black and blue. My second best color is like a green pumpkin, and when you throw a little bit of orange in there, it makes it that much better. A green pumpkin orange jig. My third color of choice is black, brown, amber. I love this color in the springtime, especially because it has a little bit of orange in it. Springtime to me is one of those times of the year that bass tend to key in on crawdads more than the rest of the time of year, and that black, brown, amber is a great jig in some of that darker tannic colored water that you have in the springtime. I'm going to pair both these green pumpkin jigs with a green pumpkin trailer like this, and then obviously I've got the black and blue one for the black and blue jig. You can't go wrong. You have to have a jig tied on in that rod box, on that deck, year round, but especially February and March. I mean, it is a time of the year you can catch the biggest fish of your life on that bait. It is a bait that I will pick up when I know I'm around fish, or it's a bait I pick up when I want to make a presentation on a stump or a laydown or the backside of a dock. It's not a bait that I'm going to fish down a bank. If I'm fishing something down a bank, it's going to be this next bait I'm showing you. This is a bait that I throw at a very specific target. I'm not going to cast it and work it a lot of times. It's just not something I do. I'm wanting to cover water until I get around fish. Yeah, then you can slow down and do whatever you want with that jig, but it's a bait for me 90% of the time that I am throwing around Pacific targets, 2, 3 flips, then pick up my jerk bait, pick up this other bait, and then start covering water. All right, here it is, the last bait. One thing I struggle with a bunch in the spring, we just kind of touched on it a little bit right there, is covering water. And that's what makes an Alabama rig so great. It gets down in the water column and you can cover water quickly. But a problem that you have in the spring with covering water is when that water's muddy. When you get in that muddy water, well, an Alabama rig's really not your best bait. A jerk bait's not your best bait. A jig's still a good bait, but the problem with that is we're not covering a lot of water. That's when this bait right here comes into play, the old single Colorado spinner bait. This is a special one that I designed for Berkeley. It's got a very, very unique blade to it. It's a very flat blade that really gives off a ton of vibration, makes a ton of noise with the type of swivel that we put on it. It's got an extended hook to where you do not need a trailer hook. Very, very weedless. I've got 3 different sizes here. I've got the 1/2 ounce, I've got the 3/4 ounce, and I've got the 1 ounce. When and where do you throw them? I've got the 1/2 ounce with the white blade. This is like a super special to me when it's cloudy, when I've got dark water. 1/2 ounce is gonna be when I'm fishing that shallower water, that 1 to 3 feet of water. That's when I throw that 1/2 ounce. Then when I go from like 3 to 8 feet of water, that's when I go up to the 3/4 ounce. Then when I wanna fish out there deeper, man, that 1 ounce is a must-have in my arsenal because, man, I can keep that bait on the bottom, I can keep it rolling, keep it thumping, keep it ticking, and then bam, you get a big old bite. 1 ounce is a must for me in my arsenal. Colors, I keep it simple, guys. White, chartreuse and white, coleslaw. I really love coleslaw. That's probably my go-to color in the spring, especially in stained water. These other 2 colors, great colors, but they're interchangeable for me. Most of the time, I can pick up either one and I'm gonna have a lot of confidence in it. It's more about covering water. It's more about that slow reel, bumping into stuff, keeping it in the lower half of that water column a lot of times. It's a bait that shines, when you have that water visibility of 6, 8 inches to 2 feet. That's when this thing really shines for me. That's when I throw a 20-pound test, a 7-foot medium heavy action rod. If I want to slow it down just a little bit more, that's when I go and I'm going to add a trailer to it. Like the Berkeley Power Stinger makes a great trailer that's kind of bulky, adds a little profile to it. That makes a great trailer for it, and that helps me throw that bigger bait, yet I can even slow it down a little bit more because it adds buoyancy to the bait. Same thing with that 1/2 ounce. If you need to slow it down a little bit more, still keep that blade turning, just put a trailer on it. If you need to go a little quicker, take that trailer off. These skirts have a built-in trailer. They flare. The center of it's a little longer than the outside, so it looks like a trailer, but still nothing can substitute when you add plastic in bulk to it to help slow that bait down. This spinner bait's going to be a thing that I have tied on and that I'll throw, down riprap banks, down the sides of docks, down laydowns, out over deep grass. It's just a bait that I can cover water just like I can a crankbait or a vibrating jig or an Alabama rig. It's just a better bait in situations when the water's darker, muddier, dirtier. Maybe it's a really cloudy day. This thing puts off a ton of vibration. It's a big profile, a big meal for those bass, and it catches great big ones in February and March, I promise you. I can't wait to start throwing it this February, and I'll be catching some big fish on it. So, all right, so let's give some baits away. Let's give some tackle boxes away. I will have a hard time getting all these baits to fit in this box. I probably won't do that because I don't want to open these for you guys when I get them mailed to you. But let's give away November's top 3 bait winners. I got my phone plugged in here because it is going dead. All right, where are they? I picked them out randomly on my phone. You ask, how do I get these winners? Man, it's just something we do super random. All you gotta do is leave a comment, guys. It's really simple. Just say, hey, hello, how are you? And tell me you like my videos or they stink. I don't care, just leave a comment. I probably won't choose you if you tell me they stink. But all right, my first winner is BA Fire Wrestler. He said, these videos are awesome, keep them coming. He's got a bunch of nice stuff he's saying here to me. BA Fire Wrestler, all you have to do is go to my website. There's a contact form right there. Send me an email with your address, buddy. I have got the November baits coming your direction. Not these baits, but the ones from November. I know I'm a little late on them, but they are coming your way. by leaving a comment on this video, I will choose a winner for these baits when we do the March video. So, all right, here we go. The next one, J Music Notes, J-M-U-S-I-C Notes. He said, thanks for sharing your top baits for November. Sending prayers your way as a mentor of those students. He's talking about, we started a high school fishing team, me and Coach Salt here in Oologah, and it's been a lot of fun. You guys be looking out. They've got a channel that is out now. It's all about the kids. It's going to be a great learning channel for anybody that wants to learn about bass fishing, because it's a lot of basic stuff, but it's a kids channel, so keep that in mind. But I'd love for you guys to follow it over there. It's a great channel for you to learn something if you want to follow it. It's a Oologah Talala fishing team. I'll try to have a link in this video for you guys. All right, the last winner is D. Clark 583. Awesome deal. Me and my oldest son won big bass in third place Saturday night at the yearly fish off with your help. Godspeed. All right, D. Clark, or DC Clark, man, thank you, and congratulations to you and your son. Same thing, just send me an email through my website with your address, and I will get November baits out to you with your Plano box. So, guys, I appreciate you following along. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be, I've missed you guys. You know, I enjoy getting out, getting to fish, and, you know, bring these videos to you guys. So we're back full speed, and got some great videos coming your way. Get started down in Florida next week. I cannot wait for that. Toho and Kissimmee, we are going back to 5 fish. Lots of people asking about that. That probably should be a whole nother video, but I'll touch on it here just a little bit. I'm excited about it. You know, it adds a lot of other bigger baits to my arsenal. Big swim baits, bigger square bills, you know, stuff that I had to take out on my boat. It's going to be easier, to be honest with you, man. If I get my 20 pounds by 10 o'clock, all I got to do the rest of the day is just go try to find a 10-pounder. In the old format, we couldn't do that. We had to catch them the entire day because you could never, ever quit. So it's going to be easier. I mean, it's just going to be a little bit less stressful if I can get my job done early in the day. Super excited about it down there, though. We get kicked off 2 days of practice. It's a big body of water. Try to figure out. I always get torn between Kissimmee and Toho or Cypress, or heck, I've caught them in Hatchinahall. So I'll have to get that figured out, and we'll get down there and get started. But hope to shoot some YouTube videos while I'm down there also. And then from there, we go to Redcrest, Lake Norman. I can't wait to get out there. That's a really fond place in my memory. I've won 2 tournaments there in my career, so can't wait to get to Redcrest. And if you guys are in the North Carolina area, come out. Got a big expo and all that stuff going on there. So we're back. YouTube's going strong. And guys, I appreciate it. And I hope you guys catch your personal best this year in 2023. And we all have a great year. See you guys next week.